So welcome back to this final presentation in this day's PLM IF. We have saved the best for last. So with me I have James Goodale, our product manager for TECHNIA Exchange Hub. Welcome, James.
Thank you.
What are you going to show us?
Well, we're going to show you our Exchange Hub supplier collaboration.
Great. Look forward to it. You can just start. Go ahead.
All right, sir. Thank you much. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to go through the future of supplier collaboration. So James Goodale, as you heard from Magnus earlier, product manager for this product, and the product is TECHNIA Exchange Hub. So this is something that we launched last year at PLM IF, and it was really launched based upon customer input. So a lot of our customers over the past 3 years prior to that have ranked higher and higher for a standalone supplier portal. So the goal here is really needs to be a common solution for very similar customer needs, and it needs to be tailorable from that aspect of different industries and different schema, different vernacular you may want to utilize with your suppliers. So it needs to be very flexible from that perspective as well. And it's really being able to connect to multiple enterprise systems. And we're designing and developing this to be cloud first vision, so multi-tenant cloud for flexible adoption. But right now we're doing can do this in a private cloud as well. But really the key benefits, reducing that time and effort when you're interacting with your suppliers and your partners, because a lot of that is done email or sending information, picking things up with FTP sites, and just can be very cumbersome and lead to a lot of errors. And protecting your IP is very important for a lot of our customers as well. But really having that data quality integrity of that data is key as well. So sometimes it gets lost when you're transferring information, and get the wrong information in the FTP sites or into a cloud-based drive system. And then reducing the time it needs to process a change by having your supplier be able to get involved earlier in the process, and really be able to reduce that cost of quality. By having your suppliers have the right information, be able to collaborate with you, it's very important imperative to really help reduce that the cost of quality. And then, of course, monitoring the performance of your suppliers in real time. So a little bit different spin on this, because traditional supplier scorecarding is done based upon more of a transactional type approach. How much scrap they shipped on time, things of that nature. So this will capture more and more things around have they want to acknowledge new parts, have they acknowledge updates to documentation in the standards library. And really the desired values and benefits of this are be able to really increase your productivity with your partners by around 25%, and do this in a way that you really don't need to go out and train your suppliers. And if we look at this, it's got to be something that multiple data sources. It's really truly a collaboration hub. Simple and usability is very important as well for the design of this. And it's got to be mobile, so really mobile. Well, that's important if you have, let's say, contract suppliers that are actually doing service for you for equipment out in the field. Have them have accessibility to this, to be able to raise issues, things of that nature. This also has to be secure. So a lot of companies deal with different levels of security on their IP control, and who can they output that to. So from a security standpoint, a lot of thought and design went into making sure this is an extremely secure solution. And then, it's got to be very flexible. It's got to be something that timed software updates is agreed upon, and not kind of forced down your throat per se. And it's got to be affordable and flexible. I mean, that's key. I have one customer who has 36,000 suppliers, so it's got to be something that's very flexible from a licensing standpoint and very affordable. So where does this really fit? The Exchange kind of fits in the middle here. It's connected collaboration to multiple different systems. So, on-premise integrations, so we've been doing integrations for well over 7 years now with our integration framework. So leveraging that type of capability and knowledge, we have a lot of connectors to existing systems already. And the key there is to be able to bring data in for the supplier to have a holistic view of the information as they're doing things for you. So if we look at this from what we're doing for our minimal viable product release this year, we've got a lot of areas covered from a functional perspective. Anywhere from an RFX collaborative process to be able to download bill of material specifications, supplier visibility and privacy of information. So one supplier wouldn't see another supplier's information, bids, or even collaborative discussions. Access to the bill of materials and part information. Ability to raise an issue as things come up. Buyer's desk management, standards access. So a lot of content capability that really fits well for what a lot of our customers are doing today and want to do with suppliers. Really to have that self-serving portal where they can go in and get the data that they need from a supplier perspective, but then still be able to collaborate and raise issues and things of that nature. So really, why Exchange Hub? Why did we do this? So again, the challenges we see out there, usability is always a big thing. Your business critical information, IP leakage, that's a huge concern for a lot of customers I deal with. And then really lacking, additional measurements for supplier performance. That's key as well. To be able to track your design partners and the companies you want to bring closer into your organization, be able to track that information so you can begin deciding, maybe I don't want to deal with the supplier anymore because they don't really go in and acknowledge updates to parts or things of that nature. And then, unsynchronized data. We all know the finger pointing begins when something's out in the FTP site. You gave me the wrong information. So those are the key things that, are very imperative. But as well, data sources, multiple data sources are needed to get that holistic view. So it's just not the engineering information. It's contract information as well. Access to purchase orders, things of that nature. So as a one-stop shop. Now, that all the data might not live within the context of the system, but that's very important from that perspective. All right, so let's take a look at the solution quickly. So I'm going to sign in as a supplier. And the key thing for a supplier coming in with a solution like this is that it needs to be something that's very straightforward and easy to use. So up across the top, we have dashboards for all the different components that they have access to, things like RFXs, RFQs, changes, issues, parts that you've been assigned to from a supplier perspective, any documents that you're managing from perspective kind of from a collaboration standpoint, any workflow tasks been assigned to you, along with folders of information like a standards library, and the ability within the context of a standards library to be able to get in and view standard documentation that typically is across all your products from a host company perspective. So let's go into the same parts. So you get the ability to go in and see all the parts that you've been assigned from a company perspective as a supplier. So you have the capabilities to view that information there or actually drill into the content. So once you drill in the content, there's different widgets that are filled out, things such as the property, the attributes of the content, along with any related specifications, reference documents, things of that nature that are available. And if this happens to have a bill of material with it, the ability to go in and expand your bill of materials, within context of that, the ability to download a file package so specifications have been shared across into the solution are available for the suppliers to be able to package up and download to their local organization, and plus ability to go and export the bill of material into everybody's favorite tool, Excel. But also in context of this is discussion threads, so you can have an ongoing collaboration between yourself as a supplier and the buyer or the host company administrator or even an engineer. So now that you can have that type of collaboration within the context of the portal, and then be able to capture more information than you normally would, and then information is safe in context of this. And then any change information. So if I get a new revision of this part and I'm assigned to that, to make that, it would be very helpful to go in and look at the changes that are associated with that, so I can understand what has changed from the context of this. And this could be in a release process, but you could also do this with a supplier, more from a collaboration perspective, where you're giving early visibility into the change to get their feedback. So it's very important. And then any issues that are associated with this as well. So it could be issues that's created on, the host system that has, the content that's being shared into Exchange, or it can be things that a supplier can create. So the key there is a supplier can go in and say, I want to create an issue. And then they can define what that issue is. What's the categorization of the issue? Is a deviation, a design, manufacturing issue. So these are things that now become actionable within the system, where the buyer or the host company representative is going to have to disposition that, and then it could potentially turn to a change back in to the source system as well. So very, very important in high-end capabilities that now a supplier can become more a part of your organization within context of this. So very simple to use as well. So let's go in and let's log out, and let's come in as a host company user. So from a host company perspective, a little bit different UI. They can see the bill of materials for items been assigned. Things that are unshared, they haven't been shared to a supplier yet, are also available. So you can categorize the information and be able to share it out, either from a high-end, kind of a default buyer's desk, or be able to organize content into different buyer's desks. So in the context here, you can see the suppliers that's been shared out to, and as well, you have the ability to manage that RFX process. So the very key thing here, again, is that this is just not a standard RFQ that you'd be, utilizing. Where you can now utilize this for kind of that upfront collaboration. I want design inputs, or I want you to go, design and manufacture this for me. So it allows you really have a kind of a collaborative space to be able to go in and work with your key suppliers and to get their input and feedback. But again, have that traceability, have that all captured in one place so that it's not lost on somebody's desk like an email and such. And in the context here as well, issues can be created with an RFQ process as well. And then suppliers can respond back, either with a code or supplier response, and then have that, captured as well. And then you can actually go out and award and assign the supplier this information. And the key here is that when you invite suppliers, they're getting access to this information. From a security model perspective, is very key, where not all suppliers have access to it. It's only the ones that you're putting in context with this process. So that's very nice to have from that perspective. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching the demo and the presentation. So for kind of next steps, we're releasing the most minimum viable product at the end of this year, and we're looking at key customers rollouts, in first, second quarter next year, and official release probably summertime next year. And then, early in 2022 is when we'll have a multi-tenant cloud offering. But initially we'll do on, hosted the private clouds, and that's always available for, people that are worried about their content being shared on a, multi-tenant cloud. So thank you so much for attending, and I will pass it back over to Magnus. Thanks.
Great job, James. Thank you very much for sharing. This is a super important and interesting topic. And to not lose this, but to continue and discuss this a bit, let's transition into a panel discussion with some customers and talk about the needs and the topic around supplier collaboration. Thank you for your contribution, James.
My pleasure.